Welcome to Biff's Mystery Theater. I have many tales to tell you. Ghost stories, murder stories, and tales that will make your bones chill. Join me, won't you? For Theater of the Mind, where you always have the best seat in the house. Now close your eyes and turn off the lights.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the world of your own terrifying imagination. No storyteller is better loved than the gentle Robert Louis Stevenson, who wrote Treasure Island and A Child's Garden of Verses. But strangely, there was another side to Stevenson. He was also the man who could write the blood-curdling history of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And this tale of violence and voodoo you're about to hear, called The Beach of Falesa.
Here, take a look through my glass.
Thank you.
Catch a bit of white there at Easter, eh?
Yes?
Yeah, that's your house. When George Underhill saw it, he said, "Oh, I've dropped into a soft thing here." Only saw him once more, and he changed, all right.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know if it was the gin or a strange kind of sickness, but they found him one morning hanging upsides down from his veranda rail, crazy as a loon, carrying on about someone watering his copra. He died in a convulsion.
Oh, was it thought to be the island?
Oh, no proof. But the next man, Vickers, shot his head, blew his head right off. And the first of the line of the Benton Far East Company, old Adams, he just plain up and disappeared as though that damn tropical forest reached out like a octopus and swallowed him, hook, line and sinker. No, sir. No, sir, Mr. Witcher, trader or not, promotion with your company or whatever. You wouldn't get Captain Ben Randall here to set one foot on the beach at Falesa.
Our mystery drama, The Beach of Falesa, was especially adapted from the Robert Louis Stevenson classic For the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Alexander Scourby. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Excuse me, sir, but do you know what happens this time of year?
Right on, pal. I happen to know that right about now a freak blizzard falls on Dumont, New Jersey, and they're snowed in for the rest of the summer. Happens every year.
Nope. You see, what happens this time of year is that you can get a particularly good deal on what is perhaps the most luxurious mid-size car on the market, the mid-size Buick Century Regal.
What good's a car when you're hopelessly snowed in?
Well, that's a point.
Once upon a time, there came to pass a new law, and great changes came over the people. They were happy and busied themselves at work they enjoyed. They were kind to the earth, and it gave back to them. No one had to lock doors or put fences around their land. Everyone had enough to eat. The sick and the aged were cared for. The people stood proud and tall.
In the land of make-believe, there were no poor. The Campaign for Human Development is working to make the same thing happen in our real world.
Campaign for Human Development, United States Catholic Conference.
What do you tell a husband who comes home and says, "I just don't know about a vacation this year"? Well, you tell him about Ramada Inn's family plan, where your kids 18 and under share your room free. And you tell him about the toll-free Ramada Inn's reservation number, 800-228-2828. At least that's what I tell him.
At Ramada Inn's, you're always welcome home.
This
is Frank Lieber. Join us Saturday night at 8 from Texas Stadium as the Dallas Cowboys return home to meet the Houston Oilers in the annual Salesmanship Club game. The play-by-play is brought your way by Jack in the Box, Family Restaurants, inviting you to stop in and try the Jack Steak Sandwich. And by Chevrolet. Many Chevrolet dealers are featuring year-end savings now. Another reason we say Chevrolet makes sense for America.
Is the oil from the coconut and is used in the manufacture of soap and margarine. 75 years ago, when Robert Louis Stevenson was alive, young Britishers would mortgage 10 years of their lives in the Pacific Islands to make their pile and come back to England to establish a business of their own. This, then, is Henry Wiltshire's story, which he can tell better than I.
It might not seem like much to you, but when you've been down the line as long as I have, that beach at Falesa looked like a ruddy city. I mean, there were houses, what passed for a couple of streets, a church, and even a few of my own countrymen. For nearly 4 years, I'd been cut off in a mucky little island, maybe 15 miles long, but narrow enough so you could spit across it given the right wind. So, whatever the ruddy captain said about Falesa, I didn't pay him no mind. It wouldn't be long before I'd be finding out I should have. But right then, I was as excited as a kid at his first circus. Here's a boat coming now. She's right in the pass. Looks to be a 16-foot whaler. 2 white men in the stern sheet.
Let's see that glass.
Oh.
Aye, that's Case, all right. And the pastor with him.
Case?
Trader with another company.
I'll be glad of somebody who speaks my own language.
I wouldn't be too sure of that. Jeremy Case has a gallows bad reputation.
You know what a place the beach is for talking. Well, it's right nice of them to come out to greet and fetch me.
Not you.
Huh?
What'll you bet it's gin they're after, eh? I'll lay you 5 to 2. They take 6 cases.
When the 2 traders came aboard, I was pleased with both of them. One was a Kanaka, to be sure. Case would have passed muster in a city. He was smallish, had a hawk's nose to his face, pale eyes, and a beard neatly scissor-trimmed. It was clear he came of good family, was splendidly educated. He had the courage of a lion and the cunning of a rat. And if he's not in hell today, there's no such place.
A pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mr. Wiltshire. Jeremy Case bids you welcome to Falesa.
Thank you kindly. Sorry we're to be in competition.
There's enough for all. I'll pray you better luck than your predecessors. Oh, I'm forgetting my manners. This is our pastor.
Pleasure to meet you, Master.
It is our honor to have you join our community, which I'll hope to see you at Sunday service.
So, Captain, it's a well-favored wind that's blown you our way so soon.
Oh, you mean Vic has left me a cargo of copra?
Sorry to disappoint you, Captain. Not a drop, I'm afraid, of either copra or gin. I'm only praying to God your ship is not as dry as his warehouse.
What did I tell you, Mr. Wiltshire? How many cases?
You couldn't spare 6?
Well, even though I don't ship for your copra company, I laid in plenty. I'll have your 6 brought up from the old. Cash on the line, eh?
Yes, always. Mr. Wiltshire, sir.
Yes?
If you don't mind the suggestion, let's round up your belongings and load them in the whaleboat.
Well, I wouldn't want to be any trouble.
No, please, sir, let me hear no argument. Oh, there's nothing like gin and lime to settle the stomach, cool the brain, and ease the mind.
Yes. Very kind of you to stand me a couple at the bar like this. What's the name of this place?
Whistling Jimmy's.
Oh, must be a cheery sort.
Was.
Huh?
We caught him watering the copra. He took a bullet in the throat. Well, let's have another round.
No, thanks. I must be off for my house and start to get things shipshape. Besides, I must not leave Mano alone too long.
Mano? Well, you could have knocked me over with a feather when you hauled that 10-year-old out from between decks and said he was part of your belongings. You are a strange man. How can you saddle yourself with a Kanaka brat? Club-footed at that. What happened to the mother?
She was killed.
By whom?
Her husband.
Why?
For daring to bear an island chief a son who was not perfect.
And you brought the child up?
No, the child was hidden and brought up by its nurse. When I came as trader to the island, the old woman cooked and cared for me, and I learned to know the boy. Shortly before I left the island, the old woman died. When it came time for me to go, I knew that Mano would be left to die. He was taboo, you see. So I brought him with me.
For what?
Well, no one deserves to die before his time.
A man dies when he has to.
Well, I have no wish to quarrel with so generous a host, but I must be off.
No, and I must go with you. Now, more than ever, we are ready to consummate the first rite for any man of our race on this island.
Huh?
Come, let's go.
Case insisted on paying treat and led me outside the bar. And I found myself staring at a crowd of girls, all dressed out for me.
They're ugly, but the best we could muster, old man.
Huh?
Chap has to have a wife.
Oh, no, I'm not so sure that...
You can have any one of these for a plug of tobacco. Besides, you have it all fixed up nice and legal. You just nip inside the bar once you've picked your chicken, and Blackjack the bartender marries you nice and proper. No, it is a chaplain, you know.
Yes, but I don't want to marry.
Leave all that to Jeremy Case, eh? Out of it as easy as in. Besides, you need a cook and someone to clean, and a man's got to have companionship or he'll go mad, yeah? Well, there now. Look them over.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They all look a little broad in the beam.
Ah, not the one I've picked for you, lad. Look.
She'd just come up from fishing, wearing nothing but a chemise all wetted through. She was young and slender, with a long face and a high forehead, and a shy, strange, childish look between a cat's and a baby's. Who is she?
That's Uma. If you'll take my advice, you'll take her.
Aye, but will she take me?
What choice has she? But if you like, I'll ask her.
Here's a late weather advisory from KRLD News. A tornado warning's just been issued for Ellis County, directly south of Dallas. It's in effect until 11 tonight. Radar shows a tornado some 5 miles north of Ennis, Texas. That's a tornado warning until 11 for Ellis County, directly south of Dallas. A tornado warning's also in effect until 10:30 for people in Kaufman County. That's a tornado warning until 10:30 for Kaufman County. For Dallas County, along with Ellis and Kaufman counties, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 10:30. There are severe storms with heavy rains, damaging winds, and some hail moving through Dallas, Ellis, and Kaufman counties. That severe thunderstorm warning until 10:30. And in addition, for Dallas, Kaufman, Ellis, and Denton counties, a flash flood warning in effect until 11:30 tonight because of the heavy volume of rain. That's a flash flood warning for Dallas, Kaufman, Ellis, and Denton counties until 11:30 tonight. This late weather advisory from KRLD News.
He crossed to her and spoke to her in Polynesian. For a moment she spoke to him in her pretty Polynesian voice. Then she nodded and came toward me with a free swinging stride. She was the color of dark honey. Whether it was the breeze or her as she stood in front of me, she smelled of wild lime and vanilla.
Me, Uma. I am no ever, no man thing. You want me. I marry you.
I'm Sam Wiltshire.
Sama Wilshire?
No, Wiltshire.
Yes, Wilshire.
Well, I reckon that's as close as you'll get. You'll be calling me Sam anyway.
Yes, sir. Sama.
I suppose that'll do, too. Did Case tell you about the boy?
Mono? All the same, you, son. Where your wife? You have other wife?
No wife.
Good. Oh, please, Sama. I wish for marry you. But not like this.
Huh?
I no bumboat woman. I be dressed all the same bride. You see? And I no marry you inside there. I marry you here in open air. When sun halfway from palm tree tip to sea.
Light as a feather, she was on her feet and gone. Not running, but moving swiftly. Her head held high as though she was a ruddy countess.
That means she'll be back about 4-ish. Well, come on, we've time to hoist a few before the nuptials begin. Hey, take a seat, Richard. Excuse me for a moment. The bartender is also the minister, you remember?
Oh, yes.
Yes, Mother Case. Gin and lime.
In a moment. We'll be drinking all round. And you'll need your paper collar. There's to be a wedding.
Savvy. New trader, Same kind paper, like always.
Of course. I'll come with you and write it out for you.
Massa still not say who. Lucky girl.
Uma.
No can do. That magic to white man like that. Not with Uma. You know that girl.
I know that girl is the one to whom I want him married. To whom I will have him married. It suits our business. Do you understand?
Yes, Massa. If Massa say so. Black Jug know only one thing. This can only end bad. He's written in sand. 2 people die.
What kind of man is this Jeremy Case? And what his purpose? By what combination of charm, legerdemain, or simple threat does he seem to rule Falesa, to hold its people in the palm of his hand? Last of all, why should the enormous man called Blackjack shake with an unknown terror at the impending marriage of the new arrived trader Wilshire to by far the loveliest girl in the atoll? I'll return shortly with Act 2.
Tell me, Madame Xanadu, can you really tell me anything about my future?
If you concentrate and gaze with me into the crystal ball. Ah, yes, it is beginning to clear. I can almost see.
Oh, tell me what you see, Madame Xanadu.
I see that you are coming into some money.
I am?
Yes, and you will continue to receive even more.
Oh, how much money will I get, Madame Xanadu?
You will receive $4.20.
$4.20?
Yes, every payday. Because you will lower the amount of federal income tax you now have withheld from your pay.
Oh, for heaven's sake. What else do you see in that ball?
I see you filling out a new W-4 form so that you can begin receiving your windfall.
This message presented on behalf of the Internal Revenue Service.
This season's extra lightful entertainment at Dallas Theater Center is almost sold out. As of August 1st, there were only 20 seats available for each performance. Call 526-8920 today and ask for Max. She'll arrange for you to pick out your season seats and give you one free play. Call Max today at 526-8920. Dallas Theater Center's sold-out season begins October 8th.
This is KRLD News Director Dick Wheeler. Believability is the key to effective news reporting, and no broadcast news organization in Texas is more believed than KRLD News. Number 1 in audience ratings, number 1 in journalism awards, number 1 in believability, number 1 in now reporting. That's KRLD News, believed and respected by more people than any other radio station in the Southwest. You can believe it.
beach of Falesa, a tropical paradise. Surely one of the loveliest settings for the most sacred rite between a man and a woman. And in Robert Louis Stevenson's tale, certainly the scene was magical. In his own words, the sun was down and the sky all afire. Uma was dressed and scented. Her kilt was a fine tappa, looking richer in the folds than any silk. She showed the best bearing for a bride, serious and still.
And I thought shame to stand up beside her before that great grinning mountebank with his paper collar, making believe to read from an old volume of some novel, the words of his service not fit to be set down. And the document we signed. Since Case wrote it, let it be his voice to read it.
This is to certify that Uma, daughter of Fahavao of Falesa, is illegally married to Mr. Sam Wiltshire, and Mr. Sam Wiltshire is entitled to send her packing when he pleases. Signed this day, etc., etc., etc.
It was the practice in these parts, and all I could feel was so ashamed I had to be gone as soon as possible. Uma said she could show me to our house. Well, we strolled through the lush vegetation together until, forgetting myself, almost as though she was some girl in the old country, I unconsciously took her hand. To my surprise, after a sudden gasp, she caught my hand to her face and pressed it there.
You good.
It was all she said. Then she ran quickly up the path ahead of me.
It is good. Mucky a boy. No, Mano. But a father, you must say in English. He know my father. He is your Takashi. Without him, you be nothing.
Leave off, Uma. Don't upset her.
No, he must sabi. You are his tiki. You give him life.
Oh, we understand each other. Hey, Manbo, right?
Right here, Governor. Put it down. Good night, Sama.
Good night.
This place be good. You bet. Good night, Uma. Tonight, Manu go sleep by and by Bahavo's house.
Why? This is your house.
Bahavo, say more better. Tonight is wedding night, Sama.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'll walk you and Favao home, all right? During the walk back, my mind fairly reeled with all that had happened at first Falesa. I seemed to have suddenly dropped years from my life. Uma had kindled a lamp, and among all my tumbled possessions she stood straight like a queen, the lamplight shining on her skin. I was ashamed of a wave of feeling I had for this native, ashamed of the mock marriage and that worthless paper. I had to pluck up a lot of courage to enter.
Hello, Sama. Welcome. This, your home.
Aloha, Wahine.
No, Wahine. Me, your wife. Not know what you want?
Can't find out what's come over me.
What you do?
Huh?
This case with supply by Cobra.
This supply buys nothing but trouble. Get me the hammer, will you?
Yes, Master.
Yes, who?
Yes, Sama.
That's better. I could regret this. I could regret it 1,000 times. It isn't too late. But something good is happening. First Mano, someone to take care of. And now...
Here is Hama. What you do?
Miss.
That happy shoes.
Yes.
Why you do that?
You know why we come here, Uma? From the other side of the world? We who call ourselves white and think we rule the world?
Trade for cobra oil.
Right. So we can make enough money to go back to the old country and become kings. But in the meantime, the rot sets in and the dream gets twisted. It's another world. And a bloke don't belong. So he drowns himself in this. No good. A man who drinks is no good.
I think you one good man. Moon fed, sun die. All the same. Uma belong you till I die.
For the next 3 days, Uma, Manu, and I worked our hearts out setting up the store and getting ready for business. I didn't see hide or hair of Case, but he told me he did a good deal of hunting and that it was very good in the bush, so I paid little attention. By Friday morning, we were ready for business. By Friday noon, not one customer had climbed the veranda steps. By Saturday morning, even the watching crowd of natives were gone. That night, I went to the bar in search of Case.
Evening, Massa. What do you like?
Nothing to drink, thanks. I'm looking for Mr. Case.
Oh, Massa Case. He take trip one other island.
Oh, I see. Jack, do the people know my store is opening and I'm ready to trade?
Sure, Massa, sure.
Then why don't they come?
Maybe no copra this time. Not rain. I not know. Just make drink for happiness.
Yeah. Jack, tell me, what happened to Viggers, the man who had my station before me?
Vigor, he was cleaning shotgun and...
Yes. And it suddenly went off and blew his head off?
Gun is bad thing.
In the wrong hands. Was Mr. Case on the trip then?
Oh, no. Mr. Casey... I don't remember. I think maybe, yes.
And Adams, the one before?
He drink too much.
I see. What about Underhill?
Talk too much, Massa Welcher. People, they wait for drink this Saturday.
I left the bar feeling everyone's eyes on me. I'd been too long in the islands not to sense what might be going on. I just couldn't guess why. And I had a cold, shaky feeling at the base of my spine. There's something wrong, Oma. What is it?
Nobody come trade. Yes?
Yes. Why?
There be taboo.
Why?
Nobody will speak. How can Uma know?
One man knows everything around here. When he gets back, I'll know, or find out the reason why. Case?
Who's that?
Welcher, I want to talk to you. And put that pistol away.
Reflex action, old boy. Not much time to talk, though. I just got back and
I know, I've been waiting for you. Case, here's a queer thing maybe you can answer. I'm tabooed.
No, you can't be. Not possible. However, just to put your mind at rest, I'll scout round and make sure. Well, I rounded it up with the chiefs, and if you ask me, it's the worst kind of thing I've ever heard of.
I am tabooed then, eh?
Something of the sort. The people won't go near you, Wilcher. It seems, for some reason, they're frightened of you.
You've gone crazy, Case. What are they frightened of?
I wish I could make out. It's like all their tomfool superstitions.
You haven't been to my house once, Case, since I came. Own up now.
Well, I was busy. It was an oversight. I'm sorry for it. But about coming now, Wilcher, I'd be quite plain.
Yes? You mean you won't?
I'm awfully sorry, old man. But that's about the size of it.
In short, you're afraid.
In short, I'm afraid.
You belong here, Uma, if anyone can understand. Tell me, why am I tabooed?
You mean you know, Savvy?
How could I? We don't have such crazy things where I come from.
Taboo belong all the same me.
To you?
Yes. Guys want me for his woman, but I no want him. Guys tell me, you love me so much, you no care. He no tell me, you no get cobra. So, I go away.
What?
Taboo go too. Then, you get much cobra. You like it more better that way. So funny.
No, hold on, Holmes. Kay seems to have played it pretty mean on the two of us. But I know now, and I don't want you to go away. I love you too much.
No. Tell me true.
Uma, I tell you true. I would rather have you than all the copra in the South Seas.
Now I die little because I am so much love.
Me too. But, Uma, tell me, why are you taboo?
Mama! Mama! Listen! He talks!
Who?
Missionary. He tell you everything more better from me.
As I came out on the veranda, the mission boat was shooting for the mouth of the river. So I started strolling down towards the river. From the opposite side, there was a man heading for the same place, and as he saw me, he started to run and got there first, as though to keep me from seeing the missionary. At the sight of him, rage flew into my nostrils, and I raced him to the pier. Get out of here, you little swindling thief!
Don't be a fool.
Well, I have been since I came here.
I have business here with the missionary.
So have I. And I don't want you eavesdropping, so I give you notice to clear out.
I don't take it, though.
He was quick with his hands, but had neither my height nor weight. Besides, I was blazing with a wrath that would have fit into a chisel. I hit him twice, once with each hand, and he went down with blood spreading on his face like a napkin. Have you had enough? Answer me or I'll kick it out of you.
I could have put a bullet through you. Yes, enough for this time with the missionary and his crew as witnesses. But next time, I'll kill you.
Father Talton, sir. I'm Sam Wiltshire.
Benton Company's new trader.
The same.
You make a poor impression rolling on the dock with a man half your size.
A giant on this island, Father Talton. He seems to control it. Father Talton, I need your help.
It was Case that you knocked down.
It was?
You're either a brave or a foolish man. I can promise you nothing except extreme unction when you need it. As I fear you may, since I know no way to protect you from the evil Falesa casts on your kind.
Why should a missionary, constantly out of touch with the process of life as he travels from forsaken island to island, envisage the imminence of death? There are more mysteries that haunt these islands than the ancient one of taboo. I'll return shortly with Act 3.
There's nothing wrong with drinking Budweiser sip by sip, is there? Well, the brewers of Budweiser think there's a better way. Sipping's fine if you're drinking wine. But Bud is the king of beers, a hearty drink. Look, rinse a 10 or 12 ounce glass with cold water. Then open a can or bottle of Bud and pour it right down the middle so it kicks up a good head of foam. Now, take a big drink and then swallow big. No sips. That's how it should be done. More taste, more beer drinking enjoyment. Thanks to exclusive Beechwood aging, Budweiser has a smoothness that lets it go down especially easy. Sure, it's an expensive way to brew beer, but brewing beer right does make a difference. That's why, when you say Budweiser, you've said it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
It's indoor golf time all this week at Northtown Mall. It's a great way to beat the heat and sharpen up your putting or driving game on Northtown's air-conditioned malls. Play a round of miniature golf on the tricky 9-hole course or drive a bucket of balls on Northtown's indoor driving range. and there's even a practice putting green. So go play miniature golf at Northtown. Only 25 cents per round, and the hours of play are from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day this week at Northtown Mall, LBJ Freeway at Webb Chapel Road.
There's only one way to travel between Dallas and Fort Worth and the new airport. Sertran, the world's only luxury ground transportation system of its kind, can take you direct to any airline from any one of 4 off-airport terminals. Sertran, go first class.
The pace that Wilshire set up the hill to his house left poor Father Tarleton sweating under his bulky robe and more than a little out of breath. But if he harbored any unchristian thoughts about his host, they were quickly cleared when he learned the first purpose of his visit.
Now, here's the way of it, Father Tarleton. This is Uma, the woman I was married to by Black Jack.
The bartender?
Mr. Jeremy Case, Esquire, informed me he was a pastor. The certificate was written by that same Mr. Case, a dandy piece of literature, I promise you. But I'm not ducking any responsibility. I'm what you call a sinner, and I want you to help me to make it up to the person I deceived.
I shall be happy if I can.
Right. Uma, give me your marriage certificate.
Oh, for what you want?
Come on, you can trust me.
You no hurt Uma?
Give me that and I'll show you. Now, since I signed this piece of paper, I found I'm taboo in this place because of my so-called wife, and I cannot trade. I want to be married right, by a real missionary. So fire away, Father. Well, there was quite a to-do, I can tell you. Mano and Favao had to be brought in. Uma had to be back in her wedding togs. And I took the father aside and asked him to say the service in native to please the others. We had 2 of the crew in for witnesses, and finally it was all bound up right and proper.
Mr. Wiltshire, I have rarely performed a marriage ceremony with more grateful emotions.
Thank you, Father Tarleton.
Do you want to know why your wife is taboo?
Of course I do.
I can tell you at least part of it. Old John Adams traded for your company. Shortly after he came here, he was stricken with the palsy. Massive, general. All of him frozen except one eye which winked. Constantly winked. This vile fellow Case worked up the word that he was the evil eye, that he was the devil, and would destroy the island. He persuaded the villagers to take this poor old man to the other end of the village and bury him alive. Only one person tried to save him. Your wife.
I work for him. He kind. No jabber.
Case won 2 battles. He removed a rival trader, and he was able to punish Uma for refusing his advance. Because she tried to stop the burying, he said the evil eye had entered her, and she was made taboo.
But Case, he promised on Bible, my taboo, no yours.
It's all right, wife. I don't blame you. Father?
Yes, son?
It's all of a piece, isn't it? Biggers never blew his head off. That was done for him. Underhill, he was a booze hound, which should have made it easy. He was poisoned. And Adams, buried alive. Now I'm tabooed.
The motive is obvious, even if we have no proof. A man like Case could only enjoy his single-handed control through fear.
Fear? What fear? He's only a man, and a small one at that.
But he holds some dread terror over their heads. I cannot stay this trip, for I am due at Farialihi. I will return as soon as I can. As for Case, without proof, there's little I can do.
Don't you worry about Case, Father. Now that everything's in the open, as it were, you let me handle Case. didn't see him to speak to for several weeks. Meanwhile, Mano, Uma, Favao, and myself occupied our time making copra with our own hands, a piddling amount for all the labor. Finally, out of sheer frustration and boredom, and because we were tired of a steady diet of canned goods and local fruit and nuts, and to cheer up lonely little Mano, we went hunting. And I bumped into Black Jack. Hey, Jack. No road going eastward?
Oh, one time, one road. Now he dead.
Nobody he go there?
No good. Too much devil, he stop there. Man, he go there. No come back.
You know plenty about devil. You think me one?
No think devil. All the same fool.
Uma, she devil? Before he could answer, far across the bay, I see Case come out from the hanging front of the woods, a gun cradled in his elbow. Hello, my friend, you no talk all the same true. Case go, he come back.
Case no, all the same.
Huh?
Case, te amo.
Uma, I met Black Jack when I was hunting today. And I saw Case coming from the east end of the island, where there's no trail. Tell me, Uma, what does Tiapolo mean?
Devil.
I thought Aitu was the word for that.
Aitu. Other kind devil. Live in bush. Eat kanaka. Tiapolo, big chief devil. Live in home. All the same, Christian devil.
And I'm no further forward. Jack says Case is Tiapolo.
No, all the same. Case belong Tiapolo. Case all the same, his son. Suppose Case, he wish something. Tiapolo, he make him.
Well, that's right convenient. Like what? Out came such a rigmarole of stories I couldn't make head nor tail of them. It seemed that in the forest, Case had a church where Case worshipped. I now began to have a glimmer of how Case had acquired his position. And though he was a tough nut to crack, I was no ways cast down.
You no go there. I no let you.
Uma, nothing would stop me now. I want to have a look at that place of worship myself, and then we'll see about the glorifying.
But nobody go there unless Tiapolo, he protect you.
I'll chance it with God's protection. I'm a good enough sort of fellow, I hope, for God to con me through. I left at dawn the next day, began to hack my way laboriously through the jungle. Queerness of the high bush is impossible to describe. Suddenly, I heard a sound that was so strange it chilled my blood and left me twittering in my shoes. But this was a sound my ear could follow, and finally I spotted it and climbed a tree to it. Crudely made from a candle box with a brand still on it and banjo strings. A wind harp. I think the upper class name is Aeolian or something like that. All right for you, Mr. Case. You frightened me once, but I defy you to frighten me again. I slid down the tree and, coming to the bottom of it, found a path that led me to my destination. Rum sort of place, too. There was a wall no Kanaka ever built. Must have been century upon century old, winding around a longish mound of earth. On top of the wall was a line of queer idols, carved and painted faces, ugly to view, with teeth of shell, and brightly clothed with cloaks that blew in the wind. And other harps were sounding from all sides. In a moment I was up over the wall into the mound of earth. Digging off the roof of earth, I found a tarpaulin stretched on boards. So this was the roof of a cellar. I climbed in, and there around the corner was a shining face of appalling ugliness, waxed and covered with luminous paint that occasionally smoked. Now that I knew how to fix Mr. Case, I went home.
I no let you go.
I'll tell you what. You fish me out your Bible and I'll take that with me. That'll make me all right.
Maybe. But I know let Mano go with you.
Mano isn't scared of A2, not white man's. Right, Mano?
Mano no scare with Sama.
Besides, I need him to carry the fuses and the lantern. I have gunpowder, 2 dynamite bombs, gun, a machete to chop down those harps, knife.
Mano, go. He's no job for a woman.
That's telling her. Mind, old girl, I come back. Whole world is right. We almost didn't make it that night. Poor little Mano with his lame leg. But once there, it was easy. My charges set in the cellar, the harps hacked down as we passed them, the statues piled on the top, the fuse laid, my patent match lit. Only one small difficulty. On the way, half our fuse line had been lost, and I must have overestimated the amount of explosives needed for when they caught. Keep your head down, Mano. You all right?
You betcha. Wow, wow. Some more the same bingo bongo.
We better get out of here. Now, wait. Let me light the lantern. There. Now, let me lift it and see just where...
Nothing, ouch. What? Oh, why you talk so big voice? Case, he's coming.
My God, Uma, is that you? You're not afraid?
Oh, too much afraid. I think I die.
Oh, me too. How far is Case beyond you?
I not know. I lost. He be here. 1, 2.
Good Lord. And me with a lantern lit. Fool that I am.
Blow it out. Blow it out.
Mano.
And this is for you, Witcher!
You've never had a leg bone smashed and tried to move. You've never known pain. It was a foolish move all around, for I couldn't reach my gun, and it alerted Case. He approached me carefully, his Winchester trained on me, his lips drawn back in a snarl that was supposed to be a smile.
You fool! If you left well enough alone, I'd have made some deal with you later.
Liar, you murderer. You have one more shot at me. Better be sure to be close enough so you don't miss again.
Right between the eyes. Are you ready?
I'd been as taut as a ship's hawser, but the moment he was close enough, I had him by the ankle, plucked the feet right from under him, and was on top of him with broken leg and all before he could breathe. His gun was gone, and he fastened his teeth in my arm like a weasel. Much I cared. My leg gave me all the pain I had use for, and I drew my knife and I got it in place. That's for Underhill. That's for Adams. That's for Vickers. That's for poor little Mano. And this is for Uma. For myself. What is there left to care for? I have nothing left. Huh? Where am I?
Home.
My leg?
It is set. It will heal.
Uma. You're all right.
Yes. I still your little wife. Bullet hit only shoulder. Soon heal.
And Mano?
He gone.
Huh?
Join ancestors.
Oh, poor little boy.
You listen me, my husband. Uma, your wife. I make promise. I bear you strong boy. Take Mano's place.
As it happened, according to Robert Louis Stevenson, Uma bore Sam his son, just as she promised. And for good measure, 2 daughters, who fortunately looked like her. With the curse at last removed, Sam Wilshire wanted no other home than the beach of Falesa. I'll be back shortly.
Pardon me, miss. Can you tell me what happens this time of year?
Rhubarb reaches its peak.
Nope.
Muskmelon reaches its peak?
No.
Oh, well, does it in any way involve something reaching its peak?
No, not really.
Oh.
What happens this time of year is that you can get a really outstanding deal on Buick's small but surprisingly elegant Apollo. And with what's happening to prices, you may never have a better chance to buy a Buick, huh?
Hey, I know what happened.
Yeah?
The buzzards come back to Hinckley Ridge, Ohio.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
I hadn't thought of that.
How long would it take you to read a brief 3-page pamphlet on drugs? 3 minutes? 4 minutes? Well, not very long. And it would be time well spent. For your free pamphlet, write Drugs, Box 8200, Albany, New York. That's Drugs, Box 8200, Albany, New York.
But don't wait. Time might be running out. This message nationwide brought to you by the New York State Drug Abuse Control Commission.
This was not Sam's headstone. It was Robert Louis Stevenson. But it might as well have been. Under the wide and starry sky, dig the grave and let me lie. Here did I live and gladly die. And I laid me down with a will. Our cast included Alexander Scourby, Evie Juster, Ian Martin, and Robert Dryden. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
Now, a preview of our next tale.
I tried writing about an actual incident out of my own life. But it came out garbage. Even I could recognize it was trash. That's when I heard the voice for the first time. Right out of the guts of the typewriter.
Get up, Dorn. Look at you, you're a miserable sight.
Can't be. I'm just hearing things. A typewriter that talks. I must be going off my rocker.
No, you're not. I exist, and what I say is real.
Who are you? What are you?
To start with, I am not a typewriter. I control it like I control you. You're both equally primitive mechanisms.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, Brewers of Budweiser, and Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the world of terrifying imagination. Once upon a time, there was a poor and common man named Matthew Mall, who owned a couple of acres that were desired by a rich and titled man named Colonel Pinchian, who wished to build a house on the property. Since the colonel could not acquire the land by lawful means, he took others. The year was 1650, and he connived to have Matthew Mall declared a wizard, condemned to die on the scaffold, which is where our story begins.
Quiet! You have not heard the last of Matthew Mall. You or your children, or your children's children. In particular, you, Colonel Pynchon, and all the family who follows you. Look at him, everyone, as a dying man makes a promise. Colonel Pynchon, God will give you and yours blood to drink.
This is the story of my long revenge, which began with the moment my adversary first entered his new-built house, with his portrait locked into the paneling above his desk chair. For there, the first of the Pynchons, the Colonel Pynchon who sent me to my death, was found dead, drowned in his own blood. The doctors called it apoplexy, but we know better. Death brought him blood to drink, the first of much, for his house was doomed.
Our mystery drama, The House of the Seven Gables, was especially adapted from the Nathaniel Hawthorne classic for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Norman Rose. It is sponsored in part by Sign-Off, the Sinus Medicines, and Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, Brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Buick introduces a new concept for you to consider in light of all the concern about miles per gallon. Range. Range is what you get when you multiply the mileage your car gets per gallon by the number of gallons your car's gas tank holds. Range is one of the things that help make Buick Apollo such a special small car. It comes from coupling the Apollo's economical 6-cylinder engine with a standard 21-gallon gas tank. It holds a lot, but it doesn't use a lot. Look into the Apollo. It's the Buick of small cars.
Hello, this is Goldilocks. It seems like only yesterday that I was a little girl tasting porridge. You know, this one's too hot. This one's too cold. And now I conduct taste tests on diet drinks. And there's one I must tell you about. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up. It has a fresh, natural, delicious taste. It drives my taste-o-meter crazy. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This one's just right.
George Washington?
Yes.
What is your favorite American food?
La Choy Oriental Vegetables.
La Choy?
The father of our Oriental vegetables.
Oriental vegetables?
Bean sprouts, water chestnuts, chop suey vegetables, delicious.
What do you do with
You toss them.
Across the Potomac?
In a salad.
Oh, yes.
Or mix La Choy Oriental Vegetables right in with ground beef when you make burgers. That's my favorite. A meal fit for a king. Oh, I didn't mean a king. I meant what do you call it? What I am. You know, not a prime minister, not a...
La Choy makes Chinese food. Swing American.
You stand alone and wait. She's 20 minutes late. She'll find a smile will go a long, long way.
Smiles go a long, long way with Kodak's Pocket Smile Saver Kit. You get a Pocket Instamatic camera, color film, Magic Cube, extender, and more for less than $30. All at your photo dealers for a limited time only.
A smile stays lit with our Smile Saver Kit. You'll see a smile will go a long, long way.
From Kodak.
Halfway down a by street in one of our New England towns stands a rusty wooden house with 7 acutely peaked gables facing towards various points of the compass and a huge clustered chimney in the midst. So begins the second novel written by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And to tell you the rest of it, here's the tortured, uneasy spirit of the wizard Matthew Mall, who died before his time and left a curse that endured for over 2 centuries.
38 years in my grave, and yet I rise from it as casually as an ordinary man from his bed. I am seen as easily at noon as I am by the witching hour. I am an extraordinarily pestilent ghost, and I have left an estate which will mangle and torture and destroy at last the whole clan of Pynchons. Shall we take a case in point?
Yes? Well, what is it?
You sent for me, Mr. Pynchon. The name is Matthew Mall, son of him who built this house for your grandfather, grandson of the rightful proprietor of your soil.
Oh, the ancient dispute. That matter has been settled by competent legal authorities.
In favor of the family Pynchon.
Self-evidently. I am in residence and you are not.
Then stay here and rot.
A moment, Mr. Mall. Will you attend me in the living room?
At your request. To what purpose?
Well, perhaps to our mutual interest. There's a legend that my family, that, to be precise, the same Colonel Pynchon who looks down on us from above the living room fireplace here, had a deed to certain vast real estate holdings from an Indian grant. Holdings of incalculable value.
I've heard the story.
Are you also aware that in the settlement of the estate, no deed was found to lay claim to them?
Oh, yes.
But his claim was on the verge of settlement when my grandfather died suddenly.
In answer to my grandfather's curse.
Of apoplexy.
Which is, in non-medical terms, not far from literally drinking one's own blood.
I did not bid you here to renew old quarrels, simply to make you a proposition.
Very well, I'm listening.
There's a rumor that whatever quarrel lay between our ancestors, yours was the one made the best bargain in the long run.
By being hanged?
However he died, he was only a step or two ahead of the Colonel. For while the Colonel won out in buying and owning the land Seven Gables stands on, he lost a kingdom when the deed to half the state of Massachusetts was lost. Or hidden.
Mr. Pynchon, what is your proposition?
Your father was the architect of this house. He might have secreted the papers somewhere or built some hidden chamber for them, which my ancestor, Colonel Pynchon, died too suddenly to reveal. I would be willing to pay well for information leading to them.
I cannot believe the Colonel would have concealed something that was not his to hide. But there might be a chance for you to recover those papers. How? I'll make a contract with you. This house and the property. For the papers, if I can locate them.
No, damn me, if I'll permit it. Did you say something, sir?
No.
Why? Well, I could have sworn I heard a voice. I'll meet your bargain if you can find the Indian grant.
I'll need some help. I don't know where the papers are, or if they exist. I do know that to locate them, I need the help of a medium.
I don't understand.
You have a young daughter named Alice. Bring her here. From outside the oriel window, hoard with frost against the roaring fire within, I watched my grandson toy with this Pynchon, whose only desire was to flee the dread house and live abroad. And by virtue of my right as a man taken before his time, I kept invading Matthew's mind and making it mine as far as I desired.
My daughter, Alice, may I present Mr. Matthew Maule?
My pleasure, Mr. Maule.
Will you be seated?
Father?
Do as he asks.
Very well.
Now, I ask you to fix your eyes on mine. From the moment that gentle girl raised her eyes, she was ours, mine. It was enough, perhaps, that already the Maules had the reputation that they could enter people's dreams and that no grave could hold them. By now, there was a further belief that they could mesmerize the unwary. There is your daughter, Mr. Pynchon. Speak to her.
Alice! Alice, answer me!
Oh, softly, softly, Mr. Pynchon. Is it my crime you have sold your daughter for the hope of getting back a sheet of yellow parchment?
What would you do with her?
Why, only as you asked. Use her as a medium to try to make you rich.
How?
You'll see. Unless you wish to call our barter deal off.
No! But proceed in God's name.
Very well. Listen to me Alice Pynchon, listen with your mind. Cast off your body. Think. Think back away through the years, but cling to me. Let him who holds the secret of the Indian land deeds come forth peaceably and without delay. Call him.
I know not who he is.
Then ask.
Colonel Pynchon? Great-grandfather? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Call on my grandfather, whom your great-grandfather hanged.
Matthew Moore? Matthew Moore? Are you there? Speak.
I hear you in the grave, Miss Pynchon. Oh, what rare sport to watch your father Gervais shivering in mortal dread, and you, my fine lady, no more responsible for your actions than a puppet. And my grandson, speaking words and using powers only I could confer on him. But the secret? The secret I am not yet ready to divulge.
Enough! Enough! Would you kill the child? Bring her to.
Without your answer?
Have you not found it?
Only this. Your grandfather's secret is one he must choke with until it is of no further value. So, keep the house of Seven Gables.
Wake my daughter from her trance.
As far as I can.
What mean you?
Well, she will walk and live and breathe. But
what, man?
I meant no harm. I meant only to humble you and yours. I did not mean to steal her soul, but I'm afraid that is lost. The years rolled by, and generation by generation, I took my toll on the Pynchon brood. The once proud family dwindled and thinned out. I have had little need to move my rusty bones or decaying flesh, since they have wrought their own destruction, save till now. But in this century, I must arise again.
Ah, Cousin Hepzibah.
Geoffrey Pynchon, what brings you to Seven Gables?
Why, I take it since you have opened a 1-cent store, it is open to any member of the public?
Not to you. Never to you. Judge.
Judge not, that ye shall be judged. Well, surely after all these years, and in respect of what I've just arranged for Clifford...
You are not welcome in this house.
Not even in a public shop, Hepzibah Pynchon.
The shop is a necessity, now more than ever.
Because of Clifford's return? Or surely you know if you're in need you can call on me? Or bring your brother and yourself to live on my estate?
Oh, you know I will take no charity from you, now or ever. How dare you offer it after what you've done to Clifford?
I?
Yes, you hate him. For what reason, I know not. But hate him you do.
You do me wrong, sweet cousin. But I am a forbearing man. I bear what crosses God sends me to bear. I will not trouble you more now, but wait for Clifford's return.
4 Pynchons are left. Nearsighted, angular, tall Hepzibah in her rusty black. The smiling, fat, oily Judge Geoffrey Pynchon, who so closely resembles the portrait of that black-hearted colonel who hangs in the massive gold frame in the living room, and who hanged me by the living neck. 2 yet. We are still to meet.
Bless my soul, the omnibus. And stopping before my shop door. It can't be Clifford yet. No. Then who is it?
Cousin Hepzibah.
Cousin Hepzibah. Well, don't you know me? Cousin? Oh, no Pynchon ever looked as lovely as you, child.
Cousin Hepzibah, you flatter me. But you can't deny it. I am your country cousin. And my mother sends you her love and regards and hopes my visit to you will not put you out.
Your visit? You intend to stay?
Didn't you get my mother's letter?
No.
I don't understand about the letter.
Oh, it doesn't matter now. You're here. But, child, I don't see how you can stay.
Oh, I don't expect to be a guest. I mean to earn my bread. I can find plenty to do, cousin. The garden and flowers and the chickens will keep me out in the open air, and I can't help in the shop. Please let me stay.
Well, you can stay at least the night. But in any case, the decision whether or not you remain at the House of Seven Gables is not up to me. Tomorrow, its master returns home. My brother Clifford, who is coming home at last.
I think I remember my mother and father mentioning him, but as though he were dead. Where has he been?
In prison.
Prison? Why?
For the murder of our uncle, the judge's father, Geoffrey Pynchon.
One other young and unsuspecting girl, Alice Pynchon, came to grief under the shadowed gables of this brooding old house. Is another to share the same fate? We'll find out when I return shortly with Act 2.
And now another story of the ball and chain as Kellogg's Special K presents Veronica and Jack.
Oh, Jeffrey, isn't this romantic? Out in a quiet lake at night with you rowing the boat.
Yes, Veronica, it's really neat.
Jeffrey, what was that?
Frogs.
Frogs that go bong?
They're pretty weird frogs.
Oh, Jeffrey, you're such a card. You have a ball and chain like the ones they use in those Special K commercials.
Yes, Veronica. It symbolizes my few pounds of extra weight. But I'm going to get rid of it.
How?
By exercising. You know, like rowing this boat and eating smart at every meal, starting with a Special K breakfast.
You mean a 1 ounce bowl of high-protein Special K, 4 ounces of skim milk, orange juice, and coffee?
Precisely. It's less than 240 calories, and it tastes delicious. It'll help me get rid of this ball and chain.
I'll help too, Jeff. After all, we're all in the same boat.
You have a ball and chain, too.
Your happy ending could begin with the Special K breakfast from Kellogg's.
The 74 Indy 500 is now history, and to no one's surprise, the winner was equipped with custom Monroe Racing shock absorbers. Naturally, because every single car in the race had custom Monroe Racing shocks. That makes Monroe's win record 21 of the last 22 Indy 500s. That's quite a performance, the kind you'd expect from Monroe. We're the #1 maker of replacement shock absorbers for your car, and we're the #1 choice on the track. At Monroe, we can't lose, and neither can you.
Just when you need it more than ever, you can find it more places than ever. That's Quaker State Motor Oil. Why do you need it more? Because if you're using your car less, that engine just isn't getting the exercise it needs. But Quaker State's quality protection is tailor-made to handle deposits that build up in an underworked engine. Now that you need it more, it's available more places. Nice to know.
Quaker State your car to keep it running young.
This is not my story, so let me quote from the man who first told it. The mysterious Clifford is about to return, and here is how he is foreshadowed in conversation between Miss Hepzibah Pynchon and the newly arrived Phoebe.
31 years ago, my uncle, master of this house, was found dead beneath the portrait of our ancestor, Colonel Pynchon. Death was accountable, the authorities decided, to a blow on the head. Since the desk in his private papers had been rifled, it was suspected that it was robbery and accidental murder committed to avoid discovery.
By Cousin Clifford?
Oh, I shall never believe that. Oh, you will see for yourself when he returns how gentle, sweet, unworldly. Oh, Clifford could never have been guilty.
I'm sure from that kindly face you showed me in the miniature he was wrongly judged.
No question of that. Just as I am sure that Cousin Geoffrey, why I cannot understand, was the one most instrumental in sending him there.
How could that be?
It was he who discovered Clifford by the rifle desk, our uncle lying on the...
Oh, hush. Dear Cousin Hepzibah, think of the present and not on the past. Soon Cousin Clifford will be home again. But surely it grows very late if he is coming today.
Well, you'd best off to bed. Perhaps I should greet him alone. Oh, dear, how shall I manage?
May I help, Cousin Hepzibah?
I'm old thumbs when it comes to cookery. You see, I've lost whatever art I had all these years alone. And I wanted Clifford's first breakfast to be so tasty.
You have a fire going bright enough to chase the morning dusk. Since the oven is hot, would you like me to bake an Indian cake?
It was Clifford's favorite all those years ago.
Well, then bake it I shall. What else can I do?
Oh, the coffee. Real mocha, if you would grind it.
We'll make a breakfast fit for a king.
A tired, sad king, worn out by exile.
Is he not well?
You shall see for yourself soon enough, dear Phoebe. Oh, hush, he's coming. Let him see you first, Phoebe. He likes bright faces, and mine is old, set in a scowl. Clifford, dear, let me help you.
The weakness is locked inside Hepzibah. Nothing you or anyone can help. But we are not alone.
No, he is Phoebe. Phoebe, Arthur's only child. You remember I told you about her last night.
Phoebe Pynchon. Phoebe. Arthur's child. Yes, I forget. You are welcome.
Thank you, Cousin Clifford.
Oh, come sit here. Take this chair.
Is this you, Hepzibah? How changed. How changed. And are you angry with me?
Oh, why should I be angry?
And why do you bend your brows so?
Oh, Clifford, there is nothing but love here. If I scowl, it is only habit that has gone before.
Cousin Hepzibah is only worried and concerned that you should be happy.
Then why do we keep that odious picture on the wall? Why can't we... What is that sound?
Why, that is... Phoebe, will you answer it?
Of course.
That is the tinkle of the shop bell.
Shop bell?
Yes, sir.
Then, has Miss Hepzibah's shop opened under such favorable circumstances that she needs an assistant as attractive as you?
I'm a cousin of hers, on a visit from the country.
Well, in that case, I suspect you are a kinsman of mine. Let's see, oh, yes, little Phoebe Pynchon. I am your kinsman, Judge Pynchon, my little niece. Oh, surely I must pay you welcome. You resist me.
I had not meant to.
Oh, quite right, quite right. A young girl, especially a very pretty one, cannot but be chary of her lips.
I did not mean to be unkind.
Oh, I accept that. But are you afraid of something?
Nothing I know of.
I'll just step in and...
What do you want, Geoffrey?
Why, simply a short visit with
No. He cannot see visitors.
I warn you to take care. Clifford is on the brink of a blacker fate than yet possessed him. I need to see him.
No, Hepzibah. Don't let him in. Beg him on your knees if you must. Ask him to have mercy. Mercy.
You heard.
I heard. But must I... You will not let me see him.
I want to protect him.
As you will. But you do me great wrong, cousin. I only wish to help him. I will find some other way.
He seemed kind. Is his offer of help so wicked?
Phoebe, he has a heart of iron. Oh, let me go back to rejoin my poor brother at breakfast. Of all of us, He's the one who most needs protection now.
Don't do it, lady.
What?
Drink from that. Or even wash your face.
I was only looking at my reflection in it. May I ask who you are, sir?
Oh, forgive me. Miss Pinson has not mentioned me.
Mr. Holgrave, the boarder.
The same, at your service. And you must be Miss Phoebe. Which gable is yours?
Oh, my window is the one. Perhaps it is more seemly to ask the question of you, sir.
By all means. I count mine the 7th, since it is by all odds the most remote and separate. See, up yonder, beyond the eaves.
You live there all alone?
A question hard to answer, Miss Phoebe.
Why?
In the house of the 7 gables, is anyone truly alone? It's hard to tell whether the rats outnumber the ghosts, or vice versa.
Then why pick it as a lodging by free will?
If you must know, I can afford little, and the rent suits my purse. The house also suits my profession.
Your profession?
I'm a maker of daguerreotypes.
How fascinating. Can you really point a machine at someone and make a likeness of them?
I can. You doubt it?
Well, It sounds like a kind of magic to me.
Technically, in its way. But the result is a quite faithful reproduction of the subject. For example, this.
Oh, you created this?
I recreated this, shall we say.
It is a likeness.
Never mind the likeness. Miss Phoebe, look deeper. What kind of man is this?
Why, by all effects, a man of probity, of kindness, of property.
Is the picture that alone? Or can one look deeper?
Not knowing the subject, I don't see how.
Look at that eye. In the midst of a sunny countenance, speaking of an open heart. And yet, observe carefully the cast in the eye, the line of jaw, the subtle twist of mouth. Here is the man, the true man, sly, subtle, imperious, hard, and withal as cold as ice. Do you recognize him now?
Judge Pynchon. Still, there's some other resemblance.
The daguerreotype is of the living judge. The resemblance is quite marked. Give or take the style of whisker, the fashion of cloth, the bloat of jowl, it could be the original Colonel Pynchon who choked on his own blood.
Why have you this picture?
For the same reason, I wish to have all the Pynchon clan. Miss Phoebe, will you sit for me sometime?
All right.
In any history, one must balance the good against the bad.
Who are you?
A recorder of history by choice. Miss Hepzibah's lodger by chance. Will you sit for my portrait of you?
To what end?
That is beyond my power to say at this moment. Only that I can promise you, you are safe from any harm.
And what do I get out of it?
Well, first, what you put into it. Second, a record of your beauty. And third...
And third?
No less than your future. One way or another.
Then how can I refuse?
My object was to make sure, as best I could, that you shouldn't. For once I was resting more secure in my rotting grave. The urge to wander grasped me less. The Pynchon dynasty was a sorry lot at best, save one. And a new dynamic force was guiding my course to its resolution. It was time to start to pull my winding sheet more closely about me and begin to leave the future to itself. But not yet. The curse was not yet played out.
The mysterious Mr. Holgrave. Who is he? What threat does he pose to Phoebe? Perhaps the only breath of sanity to blow sweetly through the dusty corridors and winding staircases of both the Pinchian history and the house that encloses the living, as tight and inescapable as the coffin in the grave. We'll return shortly with Act 3.
You don't see many people putting salt in their beer nowadays. Not that there's anything wrong with salt on radishes or French fries, but man, not in the king of beers. Truth is, the only thing salt can do for Budweiser is make it salty. An unwise thing to do to the only beer in America that's Beechwood aged. Unsalted Budweiser has become the most popular beer in the world. That's because in brewing Bud, the Budweiser brewmaster goes all the way for a taste, a smoothness, a drinkability you'll find in no other beer at any price. And something else you can take without a grain of salt. The fact that when you say Budweiser, you've said it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis. If you're serious about taking care of your lawn and garden, you're in for a lot of hard work. After all, it's nature itself you're trying to control. Hi, Frank Lieber here for True Value Hardware Stores. If there are ways around that work, well, you find them there. For instance, they have a Black & Decker Power Shrub and Hedge Trimmer with 13-inch double-edged blades. It trims on both back and forward strokes. It has 2 handles for balance control, and it's double insulated for electrical safety. Just $17.99. Another Black & Decker you'll find at True Value Hardware Stores is a deluxe lawn edger trimmer. The controls are up on top of the stand-up handle. The 8-inch blade cuts a 3/4-inch deep trench. It converts quickly into a trimmer, just $39.99. These Black & Decker tools give you 2 ways to get around hard work in the yard. And they're just a couple of the values that you'll find at the True Value Hardware Store nearest your home. Check the yellow pages.
For 2 centuries, the curse of the hanged wizard Matthew Mall has hung like a cloud over the house of the 7 Gables. The dark, deteriorating, rat-infested, and ghost-ridden house has outlived its time. Only the family to which it belongs hangs on to some distant remnant of the past.
There, Cousin Clifford. Safe in your little eyrie and retreat.
I trust you, Phoebe, to find me this spot in my private gable. While from here I can see all the world.
The bustle of our little town, certainly.
How free I feel after all those years. I have the wildest impulse.
What, Cousin Clifford?
Are you too young, perhaps, to remember when we blew soap bubbles? A glass of soapy water.
And a clay pipe.
Yeah, the pipe I still have.
Well, the soapy water I can provide.
But the lost years, where can they be found again?
I wish his life were more than a shadowed gable overlooking the street.
My Cousin Hepzibah, to watch the whole stream of life flow by is at least an introduction to the thought of returning to it.
Well, perhaps you're right. Here's your soapy water. Take it to him to blow bubbles.
My window on the world, Phoebe.
The best vantage point in town.
You picked it for me. And without your support and love and interest, I suppose I should have just let the world go by.
Well, you can't do that if it's passing right by your feet.
Dear little Phoebe, you almost make me human again. That band coming by, to open the windows so that the sound can rumble into this lost, dark room.
There! Is that better?
I scarcely know. I get infected with strange madness. Like when I blew the soap bubbles in one burst on Jeffrey's head. Perhaps I I should never get too close to life.
What do you mean?
You know the feeling when you're on a height. It's exciting, exhilarating, until you look down. And there's this wild compulsion to throw yourself, to dash yourself to the ground.
But Cousin Clifford, everyone feels that.
So that everyone doesn't do it.
Christmas.
Save me.
No, stop.
Let me go.
No.
I can't help myself.
But I can. Cousin Epsiba! Cousin Epsiba!
You can't stop me. Nothing can stop me.
Help! Help! Help him, please! Stop him!
Good morning, Miss Phoebe.
Mr. Holgrave, how can I thank you?
For what?
For answering to my cry? For helping me hold back my cousin Clifford?
It's only fortunate that I was nearby.
I don't know how to explain.
Why should any of us try to explain the human effort, drive, psyche? We all react to our impulses and dreams to a greater or lesser degree. Did your cousin really want to jump?
I was with him. I could scarce hold him. Why would he pretend?
Why, indeed. At least there was no disaster. I'm glad I was part of avoiding that.
I can never thank you enough. How can I do something in return?
Sit for me. Let me make a daguerreotype of you.
That's simple enough. But why?
I wish I felt myself free to answer that completely, but at least one obvious reason. There should be some permanent record of your beauty.
I'm afraid you overstate your case. Or my case. So I must admit that even if you had not half admitted it, I would suspect you of some ulterior purpose.
You never have quite trusted me, have you?
It's just that I sense you are not quite what you seem to be. I don't know what I feel. What do you want my image for?
Say that I want a record of the Pinson family.
And that alone?
No. My other purpose, I must keep to myself.
I could refuse.
I hope you won't.
It would be ungracious of me. I offered to do something in return for helping save Cousin Clifford's life. When?
The sooner the better. There is a skylight in my gable room. The afternoon light would be perfect. If you'll meet me there at 5, I'll be ready for you. I never thought to see the day I would harbor any kindly thoughts for any Pincham, but I find I have it in my heart to accept poor, withered Hepzibah and the half-mad Clifford. And as for Phoebe, well, she shall have an unseen protector observing from beyond the skylight window. There now, Miss Phoebe, we're ready to begin.
Should we not have the door open and the windows unshuttered?
No. I want no other light source than what strikes across my shoulder to you from above. And we must catch it now. All right, are you ready?
What must I do?
Well, lift your eyes to mine, above the lens. So, now, relax. Think of something soothing. Blue sky. The ripples on a sunlit pond. Oh, yes. Yes, that's lovely. Don't try to smile. Just stay in repose. When I expose the plate, you must not move for 20 to 30 seconds. Now, take a deep, slow breath and hold it. Now the plate is exposed. Silvered copper on which a film of silvered iodide has been formed by iodine vapor. The sands are dropping through my minute glass, and slowly, your image develops on the plate. This 1/2 minute, I hold you mesmerized, only to make you immortal, never to be forgotten, to last till the end of time. Now you may relax. It's all over. Phoebe? Phoebe? I've mesmerized her. Phoebe! Oh, God help me to resist my evil desire. Phoebe. Phoebe. Forgive me if now I say what I have not dared to say to you, nor ever will, perhaps, so long as you are a Pynchon. Phoebe, I love you. Love you with all my heart. Have loved you since that first moment I saw you in the garden. I have not, cannot dare to hope when all is known that you could return that love. Yet here, at this moment, with you completely in my power, I could cast a spell on you that would hold you forever mine. No, Phoebe. Rather that you were never mine than to hold you bound to me against your will. Phoebe Pynchon, can you hear me?
I hear you.
You are safe. You know that.
Safe.
You will have no memory of the trance you are in now.
No memory.
And when you wake, you will feel refreshed and your same lovely self. You promise me?
I promise.
Then, when I snap my fingers, wake.
Oh, is my portrait all finished?
Yes, Phoebe.
May I see it?
Oh, no. I have much to do before that. This one, I want to color. I would not have you see it in black and white.
Oh, then I shall have to wait to look at it till I return.
Return?
I must go home to visit my mother and father, and bring back the rest of my clothes.
You intend to stay on at 7 Gables, then?
Cousin Clifford needs me, and Cousin Hepzibah. I think it is my duty.
To wither and dry up like them? Before God, I pray you find some better fate. Some better fate indeed. Back in my grave, my bones are ready to settle to eternal sleep, and the curse is ready to be wound up. And the day after Phoebe left became the beginning of the end. Look at him, striding along the street toward the 1-cent shop, the picture of a man who owns most of the world and who intends to clutch the rest of it to him. The 200-year reincarnation of the Pynchon who put me 6 feet under. Judge Jaffrey Pynchon.
Judge Pynchon.
Yes, Cousin Hepzibah, the same.
What do you want?
Well, what else, cousin, but to have done with all this? I want to see Clifford.
No.
It is my purpose to do so before I leave this house.
Haven't you done enough to him?
30 years ago, our uncle died. His immense fortune was left to me, save for your life interest in this property and the house of the 7 Gables.
To Clifford, not to me.
Some months before our mutual uncle's death, Clifford boasted to me that he knew the secret of incalculable wealth. I believe that at this moment, if Clifford retain his wits and, if he chooses, he can tell me where the riches can be found if he chooses.
And if he can't, or doesn't?
Back to the dungeon. I'll await your bringing him in here in the old colonel's chair. It should in any case have been mine, by right.
Oh, I wish you ill of it, but I shall go find Clifford.
So come the years full circle. Revenge is as dusty in my mouth as these old bones which moldering cry for eternal rest. Only one more remains who deserves his fate, the same one that overwhelmed his liverish ancestor, who still pouts like a peacock in the frame of the portrait behind the judge's head. God give him blood to drink.
No! My watch. I have appointments to keep, important things to do. I can't.
Drink deep and die and dies the curse with you. I found him here, Phoebe. Dead of apoplexy, the last of his line.
But Hepzibah and Cousin Clifford...
They inherit the judge's country estate. Bright with sunlight, with no dark gables to hem them in. I've already moved them there.
I'm so bewildered. What shall I do now?
Phoebe, I have an offer.
What?
Well, first, let me reveal who I am and what I know. A 2-century-old secret guarded to prove that might is not always right. Look, the curlicue pattern around the portrait. So many bits of detail, and only one that holds the power to open the vault where the ancient document lies behind the portrait. All that blood for a piece of parchment, clothed in the dust of 200 years and not worth even the paper it's written on. A sad and silly secret handed down to me.
But who are you?
Like you, the last of the Pynchons, I am the last of the Mauls. Matthew Maul, and with the end of the family curse, I feel reborn. Or will if...
If what? Matthew?
Shall we end it all? Will you marry me, Phoebe, whom I love beyond all, and put an end for good to family feuds and tragic doom?
Oh, yes, Matthew. Yes. On one condition.
You have only to ask.
That we leave and shut up forever the house of the 7 Gables.
For several years, the house still stood. There were those who, passing it after dark, swore they could hear the tinkle of the harpsichord Alice Pynchon once used to play, the sound of the 1-cent shop bell, the cough of a man choking. But in a very few years, this had little of flesh or blood left in it, like all legends about haunted houses. This one's only special claim to fame was that it had, if you counted them, 7 gables. I'll be back shortly.
I want that sinus medicine.
Headache tablets?
No, sinus medicine. Sinus tablets. Helps the headache and the pressure.
Oh, you mean sign-off.
Exactly.
Headache pain is one thing. A sinus headache is something else. Sometimes your whole face can seem to throb with pain. You want relief. Take Sign-Off tablets. SINEOFF, the sinus medicine that gives you a full dose of pure aspirin, plus a sinus drainer. Sign-Off, the sinus medicine that helps relieve sinus pain while you drain. And Sign-Off doesn't stop there. Have you tried Sign-Off Sinus Spray, the fastest known form of sinus congestion relief? It works in seconds. That's Sign-Off Sinus Spray. When sinus flares up, use Sign-Off tablets and spray, only as directed.
SINEOFF.
Sign-Off.
Exactly.
Sign-Off, the sinus medicines in the bright red box.
You've been hearing some pretty lavish claims recently about miles per gallon. We'd like you to consider something equally important, and that's range. Range is the miles per gallon multiplied by the number of gallons your car's tank holds. Range is what makes the Buick Apollo such a special small car. It comes from coupling the Apollo's economical 6-cylinder engine with a standard 21-gallon tank. It holds a lot, but it doesn't use a lot. Look into the Apollo. It's the Buick of small cars.
Oh, sure, you can talk about good-tasting diet drinks, but I know. I'm Goldilocks, and here at my taste-testing laboratory, I taste-test them all. And nobody's been drinking my diet drinks until I tested sugar-free Diet 7-Up. And then, kabloomy! Every bear wanted some. Diet 7-Up is fresh, natural, delicious. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This one's just right.
It should come as no surprise that Judge Jaffrey Pynchon was the one who really murdered his uncle. To have made Gentle Clifford the scapegoat was reason enough for Matthew Mall to reach that powerful hand once more from the grave and exact what so seldom happens to the villains of this world: due retribution. Our cast included Norman Rose, Arnold Moss, Bryna Rayburn, Jada Rowland, and Stats Cotsworth. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division, the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg Special K cereal, and new sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Yeah.